Andres Lunar King here. So today I wanted to talk about my sexual position. Um, Not saying that a lot of people wonder, but I'm not a top and I'm not a bottom. Basically, I've never, well, not basically, but I've never had any anal penetration, other than, to be clear, a few, don't want this to be TMI, but I just want to be as transparent as possible so you guys can understand what I mean by this. So I've never had actual penetration with like a toy or like a male penis, okay? Tried other things, but just not a penis and a toy. So yeah, so I've always just kind of knew that I just didn't want a penis in there. And I also just never thought about or never wanted to actually penetrate anybody. I tried to penetrate this one guy that I used to talk to years ago, and it just wouldn't go up. And there's been a few times in my situationships and in my last relationship that I wanted to, be the bottom, and then I would always back out. And after doing some research and like doing some soul searching, like I figured out like, okay, there's a name for what I am, and my sexual position is a side. Basically, a man who enjoys like oral and kissing, hugging, cuddling, foreplay. There's this other word, I think it's called frauding, when it's kind of like dry humping. Yeah, like they just don't enjoy any type of like anal penetration. And that's what I am. Just because a lot of people ask me this as well. They're like, well, the typical, how do you know you don't like it if you haven't tried it? And to an extent, that could be a valid question or a valid, like statement. But at the same time, it just goes with anything else in life. Like, for instance, I know this is an extreme, but I mean, it still kind of goes with it a little bit because having anal sex is painful and you have to prepare yourself and all of these things. I mean, I know it eventually leads to pleasure, but when it comes to that, I just feel like everybody's body is different and everybody has different pain tolerances. So the point that I was trying to make is like, okay, how do you know you don't like heroin or ecstasy or coke or any of these other drugs or any of these other things that people do? How do you know you don't like it if you don't try it? Your brain and your body automatically already say like, okay, I don't see myself doing that. I'm not gonna try that. I'm not really gonna try that. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing that it is for me. Like, nothing about anal sex has ever excited me or made me feel like, oh, I have to do, like, it made me feel like I had to do it in my relationship because I felt like, okay, like, the roles and okay, how else am I gonna have sex with this guy? You know what I mean? So that's why I felt like that. But then as I was getting older and I started doing more research, I was like, no, like, I don't feel like you have to have penetration to have some type of like physical connection or physical like to have sex like that. Like, people think that penetration is the only type of sex you could have when it's really not. There's oral, there's so many other ways. And when people tell me, well, oh, like, some people say like, oh, like that's really picky, like maybe you just need to try it or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to try it, just the same way that a lot of people don't want to try drugs. It's just like they already kind of know like, okay, these are the after effects. And I'm not saying obviously drugs and having anal sex is different, but it's like at the same time, it's like I don't feel like I want to put myself through that pain and all that process just to have like a few minutes of pleasure. Like, temporary pleasure is just kind of like, for what? You know what I mean? And essentially, I mean, that is what sex is, obviously. But for me, it's just kind of like the anal thing it's just not for me. Like, I just can't see myself doing it. And I don't feel like I need to explain myself to anybody when it comes to the way that I feel when it comes to that, because it's just kind of like, this is my body and I'm gonna do with it what I want. And you know, for a lot of people to say as well, like, oh well, like, girl, you're not gonna find a man like that, or you're not gonna whatever, like, you're not gonna sustain a relationship like that. But I'm just like, I just feel like that's just so naive to even think that way, because there's billions of people in this world, and there's gonna be that one or two people or three people or four people that are gonna feel the same way that you do. Like, it's just naive to think that I'm the only person that feels this way, or that has these type of needs and these type of boundaries when it comes to my body. And point proven, like, you know, I got on Tinder, and ever since that I put that I was a side on there, you know, not that it's necessary for you to put your sexual position on Tinder because it doesn't ask for that, but I put it in my bio and like a picture of the meaning of side, just so people who did match me or tried to or liked me understood, like, were clear about like where I stand when it comes to like my sexual position, because I'm just kind of tired of like getting to these situationships or like whatever, and it being like, oh well, what are you? Are you a top or a bottom or a burst? And you know, it's just like, I just want it to be clear as day, like, this is what I like, this is what I can give, and if you don't like it, or if you can't handle that, then you have the option to not swipe right, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why I did that. But the reason why I brought that up is because I have been matching with a lot of guys that do claim to be sides as well, and they're like, well, I never knew that there was a name for that. I never knew that there was other guys out there like me. And I'm like, yeah, I felt the same way for a while as well. But then I was just like, you know what? Like I said, like, it's just naive for even myself to think that there's nobody out there that's like me and that has the same needs as me, and that is perfectly fine with just being a side with me. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I just don't like that too. Like, you know, no shade to my friends, but we always have debates. They're just like, oh well, like I said, if you haven't tried it, you can't say you don't like it. And you know, and I'm like, I necessarily never said that I don't like it. I just said that I don't see myself doing it, and I don't want to go through the process, and I just don't feel like that's something that my body needs. Like, my body doesn't crave that, you know? So why put myself through it? And if, like I said, if there's other guys that are like that, I mean, not all hope is gone. So yeah, it's just like, you know, and the same thing for topping. Like, I tried topping and it wouldn't go up. So then I was just kind of like, oh, like, don't get me wrong, I like butts. Like, I like a male butt, but not to penetrate it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So for my friends, a lot of my friends to like try to debate with me when it comes to that, and just say like, oh well, I don't think you are, I think you're a bottom. And it's just kind of like, you don't really, like, you know me, but you don't really know, like, you're not in my body, you don't know you don't know my cravings and you just don't know my body, because you're not in it, and you're not the one, you know, messing with me or being with me physically in that way. So it's just kind of like, you can't sit here and tell me what I like and what I don't like, or what do you think I like or what you think I don't like, just because I haven't tried something. It's just kind of like I said, it just goes back to a lot of people not trying things and they just don't want to try it. So it's just kind of like, what's the problem? So yeah, that's my sexual position as a side. And yeah, like I said, I feel like, I mean, I've always been this way, and it's just refreshing to know that there's people out there that, you know, well, guys out there that are like me. So yeah, but this video is really short, and that's all I had to say about my sexual position. And also, I just wanted to add, so, you know, for any man out there who feels like they might be a side, or, you know, who hasn't had anal sex or has tried anal sex and doesn't really like it, either way, like penetrating or getting penetrated, like, please don't be ashamed to like state that that is what you like or that is what you are. Like, don't let other people tell you what you are, or don't be ashamed or put in a box because of, you know, like the gay norm, like with these positions. Like, just don't be ashamed of it, you know? Like I said, I've come across other men that are the same way. Like, I haven't physically been with a man that's like me yet, but, you know, I've had conversations with a few of them, and I've done my research, and I've seen guys post YouTube videos as well. So like I said, just don't be ashamed. And, you know, other disclaimer, like, you know, in the future, if I do come across or get into a relationship with a man who's patient with me and, you know, who obviously still is faithful to me, and, you know, I decide, okay, well, let me try it out with him because I love him and I trust him with my body, then, you know, I'll try it out. But as of now, this is what I am, and this is what I'm willing to give when it comes to my body. So yeah, so I just wanted to add that.